guys, welcome to this edition of the Web3 Talks. I'm Ornella Hernandez, and joining me here we have Sam Huber, who is the CEO of Landvault. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining. I wanted to start off by just asking you, you describe yourselves as a metaverse tech company. So what exactly is a metaverse tech company?
Well, it's basically building infrastructure to accelerate the progress of the metaverse. So we define the metaverse now as a 3D internet, basically a new fabric for the internet where the 2D websites will be replaced by three-dimensional content powered by gaming technologies. But there's still a lot of things that are difficult and expensive right now for creators to actually build this 3D content, to deploy it on the web, to monetize it. Because the content is becoming 3D, a lot of the tools that are currently available for the 2D internet are not going to be working anymore. So we need to rebuild that infrastructure when it comes to deployment, measurement, monetization. And so we have a complete suite of tools that enable people to do that and accelerating the production and the monetization of virtual worlds.
And how do you envision people using this new expansion of the internet?
I think they will use it in the same way. That's what we're trying to do. So the web, the ability to browse websites, having a link that you can click and enter an experience, that's very easy. It works on every device. It's a very seamless way to access content. So we want to continue with that. We don't want to rebuild or reinvent the wheel. And the idea is to enable people to deploy their 3D experiences on the web as well. So just like you have a link that you can click and enter a website, you'll be able to do the same and enter a three-dimensional experience.
Okay, and can you give us some examples of maybe a couple of your favorite builds that Landvault has done for some brands and companies?
We've done a lot of brands. Last year, mainly the likes of MasterCard, Heineken, Red Bull, L'Oreal. And then this year, what's been interesting is to see a shift and a lot of government entities, especially in the Middle East region, from the Dubai Ministry or Saudi Tourism or other types of landmarks in the region that are trying to use this as a way to promote their landmarks, their experience to the rest of the world, and see that as a more engaging, more natural way to create things that are really impressive and exciting for people. Yeah,
so you moved here from London to Dubai to work with Middle Eastern governments. So why do you think that there are so many initiatives? Why do they want to build in the metaverse? What are their use cases? Is it just type, or what's going on there?
No, that's what's interesting. Actually, we kind of escaped the metaverse hype, which was happening in Europe and in the US last year. Lots of brands were joining just to be in the press, just to be first to do it. And we found actually real use cases in the Middle East, which was interesting. A lot of it is centered around promotion. Those like governments,
tourism.
Promotion of the region, tourism, attracting people. They could be consumers, they could be investors, but basically shining a light on the region. And we know that the governments here in the GCC regions have been investing a lot. Dubai is the best city to live in. They like those awards, and making sure that people are actually interested in the region. And Saudi is doing the same, Qatar is doing the same.
Okay.
So they see 3D experiences as the second best thing after reality.
Yeah.
So if you cannot go to those places because it's far or you just haven't got around to it yet, the best way to experience it would be through a 3D experience. So that's the main use case. And then of course, every department, every institution would have, nuances and different things that they're trying to do.
So you said that the main use cases are tourism and real estate. So does that mean that, let's say I want to buy an apartment, maybe in Dubai or in Doha, I could go into their metaverse environment and check out that condo beforehand?
That's one of the use cases that we are currently discussing. The real estate industry actually is working in a pretty backwards way here when it comes to technology. There is actually not a lot of technology involved. So a lot of the investors or even people that are interested to buy a flat would just receive pictures of a WhatsApp. There's no real platform to centralize all of it and to also make it tangible, because there's so much development here that is happening off plan, meaning that you buy the condo, the villa before it's built. what is the best way to actually get a sense for what the space would be like, how the lighting could be, and maybe even visualizing the interiors, changing the colors. You can do that over pictures, you can do that over Photoshop, but you could also do that by immersing yourself inside a 3D experience and changing it for yourself. This makes it much more tangible, much more attractive, and much more likely for people to actually say, yeah, I want the space, I want that deposit. It's the wow factor that pictures and videos are sometimes struggling to create, that you can really create inside a 3D environment.
Okay, makes sense. And speaking about real estate, let's talk about virtual real estate. So land in metaverse platforms like the Sandbox or Decentraland, for example. Who is still buying land? Like, I feel like now that the hype has died down, obviously there's still a lot of activity, people are in these metaverses, but not as much maybe as previous seasons. So what do you think these buyers of land, virtual land, hope for? What do they think what do they see there that we don't?
I mean, I think the era of hype, as you said, and pure speculation on land is gone. The prices have been slashed. There's a lot less volume. A lot of people have made money. A lot of people have lost money as well. I think now we generally entering the era of utility for the metaverse.
Okay.
And now on the Sandbox, for example, they've just announced that if you are building an experience, you'll be able to soon deploy it on your land, which wasn't available before. So now actually buying land makes sense. If you have built something, you want to make it public. So of course you hope that over the long term, the prices are going to go up, you're going to be able to make money, but mainly it's a way to deploy your content. I want to note though that a lot of the platforms and vision around the metaverse does not always revolve around land. There is the concept of land in specific platforms like the one you mentioned. But for example, for what we do at Landvault, we consider the metaverse as this three-dimensional version of the internet. So there's no concept of land. You do not need to buy anything. All you have to pay for is the hosting of your 3D website.
Is that because you already own the land that you're building on?
There's no concept of land. It's like a website. There's no concept of land on the internet. It's just a domain. The land in a specific platform could be seen as, you know, a location inside a platform.
Okay.
But because we're now looking at it from a more like a web angle, you're able to deploy those directly on web domains.
Okay. And are there other companies that you would consider your competitors that are maybe trying to do the same thing?
There are a few. I think what makes us unique is the fact that we have two sides. We have the studio side that builds experiences for those big clients and handle the whole process from idea all the way into implementation from A to Z. And to this day, we still have about 120 people on that side of the business. But we're also building our own infrastructure, our own technology, tools to accelerate the creation of experiences, tool to make it easy to make it available on every device for accessibility. We're also building a protocol to then tokenize the content.
Even phones?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. We've always felt that, you know, the metaverse is just content and you have to get it in front of as many people as possible. And if you alienate, 3 billion people that are glued to their phones and only make it available on large devices, it's not the best investment. So for us, the metaverse should be available everywhere, just like a website. You can consume it on your phone, on your desktop, even on your TV, even in the Apple Vision Pro. So by building directly on the web, we already rely on the interoperability of the web. It works everywhere already. And all we do is, instead of showing a traditional website, we show a 3D experience.
Okay. Since you mentioned the Apple Vision Pro, I think a misconception that a lot of people have when they hear the term metaverse is that they think automatically VR. They think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone like that? Oh, the metaverse is just VR, isn't it?
Well, it's not. So that's the thing. This is why I think the analogy with the internet is the best analogy. The metaverse is a 3D internet, because the internet is not a device. It's the content, and you can use different devices to consume it. You can consume the internet on your phone, on your desktop, even on your TV. This is just a different window on the internet. So the metaverse is the same. The metaverse is the three-dimensional content, and then you can use different devices to access it. Your phone, your desktop. You can use VR if you want, but you don't have to. Okay,
makes sense. And how did you pivot the company to these initiatives into metaverse? Because I know Landvault didn't always start out that way.
Initially, we were in the gaming space. So under a different name, AdMix, which I started in 2018. And at the time, the value proposition was that brands would want to be part of games. They would want to advertise, they would want to show products, and there was no real tools to do that at scale. There was ways to advertise on top of the game with very annoying interstitial advertising, but there was no way to create product placement or to sponsor the shirt of your favorite player in a football game, for example. So we created technology to do that. And then 3 years down the line, after raising significant capital, we saw a big opportunity to actually expand. And instead of just being a technology to monetize games, becoming more infrastructure for the 3D internet, which we really see as the evolution of gaming, but applied to a bigger use case. Because with the metaverse, the technology is the same. It's still real-time 3D, it's still Unity, it's still Unreal. You have your avatar, but you're not only playing a game. You can do all kinds of other things. You can visit property that you want to buy. You can be on this set virtually. You can be in a social network in 3 dimensions. You can attend concerts. So it's basically gaming, but applied to a more mainstream use case. So we saw that as a great opportunity to create an even bigger story for Landvault. And this is what we've done about a year ago. And since then, relocated here, starting to work with the government. And we've really put the company on a different trajectory.
Can you share some of the projects that you're working on with the governments in the Middle East?
Well, there's a project that's been announced. We're working with the Abu Dhabi government on a few things, again, to promote certain landmarks, certain areas that they have. Starting to work with the Saudi government as well. And also Ras Al Khaimah. There's a lot of really interesting innovation happening. It's all just starting right now, but we'll be at the forefront of all of that.
And what's the best way for a company or brand to get in touch with you if they want to work with you, with Landvault?
Just go to the website, landvault.io. You can contact us there, or you can find me on socials at Sam Huber.
So now we're going to shift gears a little bit and play a little game/activity. Have you heard about Wired's Autocomplete celebrity interviews?
I have. Yes, I see where you're going with this.
Okay, so we're going to do something very similar, but instead of Googling your name, we Googled the metaverse is. Okay, so we're going to go through these searches and you give us your opinion on what they say, okay?
So these are probably the most popular searches around the metaverse.
Exactly. Okay. So let's see what the public is Googling. All right. The metaverse is dead.
Great.
Is it dead?
Clearly, that's obviously not the case. There is, as we said, a different phase, a different evolution. The metaverse that was known last year is probably dead, different motivation. But the 3D internet, the fact that most content is becoming 3D, more immersive, more engaging, that's a trend that is pushed by gaming and by blockchain. It's not going to stop. So there might be a little plateau in terms of growth, but the metaverse is certainly here to stay.
All right, it's alive and healthy. Next. The metaverse is a dead mall.
What?
Okay.
Dead mall.
Probably because people think it's like for shopping and e-commerce.
Yes, I think that's stemming from that. There is a lot of the first experiences were shopping centers. This was like the kind of use case that everyone thought about. And actually have a bunch of friends that started companies like this, trying to create the largest virtual mall, which also meant the emptiest virtual mall. Right. So there are a few experiences that are definitely a dead mall. But again, the metaverse is much broader than that. It's the 3D internet. So that is factually incorrect.
Okay. Next, the metaverse is still being created.
I can testify to that. Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be probably 5 years to a decade to get to that point, which we call the WordPress moment, where everyone will be able to create virtual worlds. They will be able to monetize it themselves, just like you can easily create a website in 5 minutes using a bunch of tools. The technology to allow that in the metaverse is not currently available. Right. This is what we and others are building. So it's definitely still being created.
So 5 to 10 years for your average Joe to daily use it. Yeah, mainstream adoption.
That's what it took on the internet for 2D internet, roughly from the inception, the .com crash. There was also a dead moment, but obviously that did not kill the internet. It just killed the companies that were not creating any value. So we are definitely still in the creation phase.
All right. The metaverse is a read, write, and own web. What would you say about that?
That is a good write-up here. I'm actually surprised to see that on fourth position. No, this is actually true. So the analogy is that Web 1 in the 90s was just read. You could only go on the web and actually read something. The web was basically a giant brochure. You couldn't really interact, you couldn't really talk. And then social media brought the write component. You could communicate with others directly on the web. So we had read, write, that's Web 2. And then Web 3, through the blockchain, which powers the metaverse, brings the concept of ownership of digital goods. Those goods are being authenticated on the blockchain. So if you build, let's say, an avatar, you can lock it on the blockchain and everyone knows that it's yours. If you are selling items, the money goes to you directly. So you have the ability to own digital goods. So read, write, own is Web 3.
There. The metaverse is the internet of experience. Would you describe it like that?
I think it's connected to the 3D internet. It's just more engaging, more exciting, more interactive content. Things that you cannot do in 2D, you'll be able to do it in 3 dimension. And I think one of the goals is to create a better internet, richer internet, better experiences. So I totally agree with that.
Next, the metaverse is not dead. Okay, good.
Well, one of the two has
Someone
to be
agrees.
true. So align with that one.
The metaverse is coming. Okay, like you said, it's gonna take a while, I guess, for
it's coming. I mean, mainstream. We see new use cases every day. There's new applications, there's new deployments, more people jumping in every single day, more people using games, more people using Roblox. So it's definitely coming. We are on the way to probably the biggest disruption that the internet's ever seen so far.
Now that you mentioned Roblox, would you agree that you don't need crypto or blockchain technology to power a metaverse, because Roblox is one of the most popular ones and it doesn't have crypto, right?
That's right. So the metaverse is really the convergence of gaming technologies, and Roblox is in that category. And the blockchain gives it a different financial backbone where you'll be able to actually own your assets. You'll be able to trustlessly transfer value to other people, tokenize content, and so on. So it does add a dimension of monetization that doesn't exist in Web 2 that you cannot do on Roblox. But you can still have the internet of experience on Roblox, have fun. It's a fun engaging platform. There's just a missing component because the blockchain is not there.
Okay. And then the metaverse is dying. Okay, a lot of death on here.
A lot of death, it's pretty negative.
It's dead, not dead, dying. So no,
No, we've already talked about that. It's neither dying nor dead. Metaverse is here.
It's here. Okay, it's coming and now it's here.
There is a glimpse of the metaverse being here. There is experiences that exist. Again, I think one of the misconceptions is people think of the metaverse as this one network that is interconnected, which is similar to the internet. But this won't be created at once. You know, it would be creating from the bottom, one experience at a time, that then will all speak the same language and be connected into one giant network. So yes, the metaverse is here, but only some parts of it.
All right, and last but not least, number 10.
Okay, excited about this one.
The metaverse is canceled meme. I don't know what that means.
I think there were a lot of memes about, obviously, the metaverse, you know, and probably around Facebook and other things. And there's probably a lot less nowadays. So I'm not quite sure what to say about that last one.
Meme. Okay. Well, awesome. We went through the 10 top most searched Google questions when it comes to
compare them
the metaverse.
In a month's time.
Yeah, we'll do that again. All right, sounds good. And I did want to ask, just to close, because we're running out of time, what advice would you give to someone who maybe they're developers or maybe they're brands who want to learn more about the 3D internet and metaverse platforms and want to get into this space?
Yeah, I think the first step would be for them to really understand what it is and what it's going to change beyond the hype. As we've seen with those Google searches, there's a lot of negativity around it. There's sometimes a lack of understanding of what the metaverse actually is. And more importantly, what are the forces that are actually driving the metaverse? It's not VR headsets, it's gaming technologies, which is a huge industry with 3 billion people already playing every single day. It's blockchain. It's all these innovations that are happening no matter what. So really first understanding it and understanding how this is going to revolutionize the internet in a way that just hasn't happened since the inception of the internet, and then decide for yourself if this is something that you want to be a part of or not.
All right, Sam. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
And everyone, please go check out Landvault and follow Sam on socials. And please go check out other episodes of Web3 Talks. I'm Ornella Hernandez. Until next time.